back to Nomadic Nutrition. If you're new here, my name is Shannon Manning. I'm a registered associate nutritionist. In today's video, I'd like to talk about fats, and more specifically, about dietary fats. If you'd like to know more about dietary fats and how they relate to health, please keep watching. So today we'll be discussing dietary fat, cholesterol, and how they relate to disease. So what is a dietary fat? Let's define it. Well, there's two kinds of fat that we talk about. One of which is visceral fat. This is body fat. And body fat is there to store any unused energy for later on. The other type of fat we talk about is dietary fat. This is the fat we eat and is necessary to absorb vitamins. These are the fats we'll be discussing today. When talking about dietary fats, you'll hear words like saturated, unsaturated, and trans fat being used. Dietary fats affect cholesterol, and when talking about cholesterol, you'll hear words like LDL, HDL, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Today we're going to define them. Saturated fats, as the name could suggest, are fats that are solid at room temperature, like butter. Saturated fats raise levels of bad cholesterol in the blood and mostly come from animal products. Coconut and palm oil are also saturated fats, except coconut oil increases good cholesterol. Make sure to check your labels because palm oil can be found in more things than you think and may be contributing to your high cholesterol. Something like this has palm oil. Unsaturated fats, in contrast, are found liquid at room temperature and comes in two forms: monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Monounsaturated maintains levels of good cholesterol and decreases levels of bad cholesterol. These can be found in nuts, avocado, plant, and seed oils. Polyunsaturated fats also reduce the levels of bad cholesterol in our blood. The two main types are omega-6 and omega-3. Both are necessary for a healthy diet. Omega-6 are found in vegetable oils such as flaxseed, hemp seed, grapeseed oils, and omega-3s are mostly found in oily fish such as salmon, mackerel, sardines. Omega-3s can also be found in plant sources such as walnuts, flaxseed, and chia seeds. But to access these fats, the seeds must be crushed, exposing the inner flesh. Otherwise, they'll pass right through. And lastly, trans fat. Trans fat is also an unsaturated fat. There are two types of trans fats: naturally occurring and artificial. Naturally occurring trans fat is made in the gut of some animals, resulting in a small amount of trans fat in dairy and meat products. And artificial trans fats are a type of fat that's made in a laboratory through a process called partial hydrogenation. Now, what hydrogenation does is make these vegetable oils solid at room temperature, which causes it to act like a saturated fat by raising bad cholesterol. But on top of that, lowers good cholesterol as well. Trans fats are large and dense and can build up in the body over time, causing toxicity, making it very unhealthy for us to eat. And why do food companies use trans fats if we know they're so bad for us? Well, food manufacturing companies use trans fats because it allows products to have a longer shelf life with a desirable flavor and texture that consumers prefer. And hydrogenation increases the shelf life and flavor stability of foods containing these fats. But what's important to know about trans fats, besides the fact that they get added to many processed foods, is that there's also a little marketing ploy when it comes to products that say trans fat free or 0 grams of trans fat. Food companies are allowed to make the trans fat free claim if the serving size is under 0.5 grams per serving. Eating a product with less than 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving may not seem like a big deal, but if you're eating more than one serving of more than one product that has trans fat in it, you will be consuming a significant amount. To find out if a product does contain any trans fat, look at the ingredients list. If partially hydrogenated, or even fractioned oil appears on the ingredient list, there's an indication that there is some trans fat in the product. And as a consumer, you're responsible for reading these labels. It's sneaky, but if you know what to look for, it's easy to spot. Trans fats are most commonly found in baked goods, candy, cereal, potato chips, margarine, or shortening. What makes cholesterol good or bad? Well, different cholesterols act differently. Cholesterol is moved around the body on small carriers called lipoproteins, of which there are 5 types. And these lipoproteins are classified by their levels of density. Today we'll talk about 2. First, LDL, or low-density lipoprotein, delivers cholesterol to the cells that need it. And we do need it for making hormones, vitamin D, and making bile, which is necessary for digestion. But what happens over time as LDL increases in our bloodstream is a substance called plaque can build up in our artery walls, narrowing the passageway, preventing blood and therefore oxygen from passing through. This is why LDL is considered bad cholesterol, but really it becomes too much of a good thing. In contrast, we have another lipoprotein. This is called high-density lipoprotein, or HDL, and this lipoprotein has an opposite effect in that it picks up excess cholesterol from the bloodstream and carries it to the liver for disposal. This is why people call it good cholesterol or protective cholesterol, but remember we still need both to properly function. So now we see a relationship between dietary fat and how that can increase or decrease certain cholesterols. But how does cholesterol affect disease? Having prolonged high levels of LDL in your system is one way of getting a heart attack or a stroke. If there's too much plaque in your coronary arteries of your heart, a spike in blood pressure through a narrowed passageway can cause the artery to burst. This leads to a blood clot, blocking blood flow to the heart, and results in a heart attack. Another potential side effect of chronic high LDL is a buildup of plaque in the carotid arteries in the neck, and this reduces blood flow to the brain and eventually causes a stroke. There are multiple ongoing studies linking certain dietary fat consumption with depression, osteoporosis, cognitive decline, macular degeneration, and many cancers, but the evidence for those are yet to be uncovered. The main takeaway from this lesson is to, as much as possible, avoid and limit your consumption of trans and saturated fats, and replace them with healthier unsaturated fats, ones that are liquid at room temperature. You can do this by reducing red and processed meat, dairy, sweets, using healthier oils versus butter to cook, and please stay away from processed foods to find more whole alternatives. And lastly, check your nutrition labels. It is so important to know exactly what's going inside of your body because it will have an impact on your health. Take a look in your pantry or cupboard, see what foods that you have now that after watching this video you may not want to repurchase in the future. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate the support and I'll see you in the next one. Happy eating, everyone!